In this video, I'll show some of the annotation capabilities of Google Earth, as well as the measurement capabilities that can be used on those annotations. So I'm with my favorite example here, Mount Fuji, and as you create more annotations, one thing you're going to want to be aware of is how to organize them. You can create your own folders by clicking on My Places, Add, and then selecting a folder. I'm going to create a folder for all my annotations. And as long as I keep this folder selected, all the annotations I use are going to appear right inside of there. I can also turn on and off visibility just like with any other folder. Alright, so now that we're ready to add some features to this, first thing I'm going to do is add a point at the summit of Mount Fuji. I click Add the Point, I add the point, I can then drag it around to put it exactly where I want it. I can change the style of that annotation. And when I'm done, I click OK. Notice that annotation appears inside my folder. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a line looking at the slope along the side of the volcano. So I click once on the edge of the volcano, and then I let go, and I click again at another point. Afterwards, I could drag around those points if I didn't like where they were. But I'll rename this path. And one thing that's important to know before I click OK is that I can look at the measurements of this line. So if I click on Measurements, I can see the length of that line in miles or any other unit I request. Alright, so there's my line. One other nice feature with lines is you can look at an elevation profile along that line. So right-click on the line, click Show Elevation Profile, and now you'll see what the elevation looks like along that line, along with some nice statistics of what the features look like. You can see that Mount Fuji is a very beautiful, almost constant slope volcano. You can close it by clicking the X in the corner here. Alright, finally, so we've done points and we've done lines. The last thing is to look at areas. And I'm going to add a polygon now by clicking this button. And I might want to outline, for example, what I think is the base of Mount Fuji. One thing that often happens to me is I create points by accident. If this happens, you can click the delete key and that'll delete the most recent point you created. So go around the volcano, creating your outline, and creating your polygon. And just like with lines, you can click on the measurement feature after you've created your polygon. So I click on Measurements, and I can look at the area as well as the perimeter of that polygon in a variety of different units. Now I don't really like the way that looks. All of a sudden it looks like a huge lake. And so one thing you might want to experiment with is transparency. That's done using this slider at the bottom of the screen. If it doesn't appear, try clicking this box. So this will control the transparency for the item that's currently selected. So right now I'm changing the transparency of the area. I can also change the transparency for everything contained within a given folder, and that'll have sort of a multiplicative effect. So if I make the whole folder more transparent, it'll make my area even less transparent. I can sort of undo that, so I'm going to make my area fully opaque, and now make everything in the folder more transparent. So that just gives you some hints on how to add to your visualization and use these measurements in your diagrams of volcanoes. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions about this or anything related to Google Earth, feel free to leave that in the comments.